Get rolling here on May the 22nd, a big weekend known as Victoria Day weekend here in good old Canada. The long weekend in the month of May, typically known as the big and bad planting weekend. So for all those that are out there today that did some planting over the weekend, let's talk a little bit about what you've done, with some of the questions that you have, and how I can help you as well. I'm just checking over on my page here to make sure that everything is going live and streaming, which indeed it is. We had some questions, by the way. We're going to get to those in a moment. But as I mentioned, this is indeed the big weekend that most people go out there and plant because it's an extended weekend, but as well, we're underneath frost-free conditions after this point. I'd still really encourage you to monitor and keep an eye on the temperature, especially if you're in Western Canada watching us this morning, in Northwestern Ontario perhaps, or even in east along the just a little bit northern Quebec. You still need to be aware that frost can come at any time. And what frost is good old Jack Frost that could then go and break the water cells, the water inner cells of the plants. It's going to expand those and actually crack the cell walls, and with that damage it and kill our plants off. With that, you still got to be aware, but I hope you guys have had a good weekend. It was fantastic yesterday morning. I got a lot of planting done. And then in the afternoon, we had that severe thunderstorm that moved through, but everything watered. My garden right now, I'm looking at it through the window, and I can see that everything's nice and perked up. Yesterday, I planted some lettuce, some butternut lettuce. I also did plant some red leaf. I planted some kale. I planted a couple tomato plants. I got more peppers and things to plant as well. But today, what we're going to really talk to you guys about too is growing your own food. There's nothing, and I'm bringing a tomato to represent the #1 grown vegetable plant out there, but indeed this is a fruit, not a vegetable. And it seems that across the world that everybody wants to grow tomatoes, but people this year more than any want to grow their own food. And there's probably some good reason for that. Of course, we're seeing our grocery prices going up. We're also seeing that we want to ensure good food quality and good food resources to make sure that we have a good ample supply of nutritious food. There are many benefits to growing your own food. #1, you know where it's grown from. #2, you can save some money over time. In the first year, because of investing in soil, building raised beds, buying a lot of materials and supplies, that first year you may not save any money. It actually may cost you some money, but years thereafter, it will actually give you a harvest that will be bountiful and will really help you out. But the #1 reason why I really like to encourage people to grow food is you eat better. Kids actually eat better too, and kids are then a little bit more adventurous to going out there and eating good food grown by themselves because they have some ownership on it and they actually can see it going. There's nothing better than a cherry tomato or some beans that kids can pick. But cherry tomatoes, if you're going to start anything out there and you want to grow some food, grow some cherry tomatoes. Paula is saying good morning to us, so we're just going to give a little shout out to her this morning. We got a good morning as well. From Marlene, good morning, Frankie. My perennial ferns have taken over my small garden. Any suggestion on how to stop them from taking over? For your perennial ferns, it's about dividing. So you're going to have to divide, thin out, build a really nice edge around them. And that edge, that nice deep edge, will actually keep those roots away. They will get the ostrich ferns can really get invasive over time overall. I'm just going to take a look here too. Question. There it is. Happy Sunday, Frankie. Raining in Penetang right now. Enjoy your weekend. Rain is a good thing. Here's a good question. The question is, God black cherry and some tumbling toms to try this year. Not a good question. It's just Jen, but she just said that she got a black cherry and she's doing that for growing this year. Here it is right now. The question is, when can I plant tomatoes and peppers? If you're in Southern Ontario, I would go ahead this weekend and plant tomatoes. I would wait another week to plant peppers. And the reason why I would wait another week to plant peppers is that peppers do like a really warm soil temperature. And if you have a raised bed, you can plant your peppers this weekend. But I would really wait a little bit later to plant the peppers and squash because they are a plant that likes warmer temperatures, consistent temperatures. And if we look at the temperature this week, we will cool off ever so slightly. Frost-free, so that's why I would plant some tomatoes, but I would just hold off on planting peppers at this moment. Okay, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about pest and pest control. So when it comes to the vegetable garden or even your ornamental garden at home, sometimes during the summer months, we go out there and we take the time to inspect our garden. And while we're inspecting our garden, what do we see? As a matter of fact, what we see is insects sometimes going after all of our hard work. If we see insects, then we have to figure out how to control the insect. If we see that insect, sometimes it's as easy as pick and squish if you only have a few, and people are like, ooh, that's so gross. If you see aphids, taking a hose, washing them off, maybe even preventing things like cabbage moth by putting a floating row cover over the kale at this time of year and or cabbage. Or you can then go and try to find a solution by going to many of the different garden centers, home improvement stores that are out there and getting what's called an insecticide. An insecticide is something that will treat insects. Given the cosmetic pesticide bans that is in many provinces as well, we are underneath a really stringent guideline in terms of what we can use and what's available for us to use in your gardens. I want to show you guys a website. And the reason why I want to show you this website as well is just to kind of give you a little bit of the information that's out there. I think it's really important to get to know this as well. So this is who really takes care of everything out there. And that is Health Canada. Health Canada is taking a look at all the insecticides, those things that take care of insects, fungicides, those things that take care of diseases, and as well herbicides, those that take care of weeds. All those actually have to go underneath stringent by Health Canada and have to be Health Canada approved. You can go through and find out more information on all the different ways that Health Canada does improve and also make sure that it's safe out there as well. I want to show you, I'm just going to stop sharing that screen and just going to show you another little website there too. Let me see here. I'm just going to click over here. There we go, Pesticide Safety. I just want to show you that too. This is a good resource for you guys as well. And I'll share these resources as well after. But I really want you to know that your safety, your care has been really, really taken care of. So if you want to learn more about the things that are available for you to use and some of the different information that's out there to help you, you can go to Health Canada's website. This is right on canada.ca. And you can take a look and you can just actually type in the search on the top and type in pesticide safety. And you can go down and you can take a look at all the different regulating pesticide safely, risk assessments that go on with these, and all the different controls that are taken care of so that you are safe. Now, this is what I wanted to get to because I know that right now, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen there too. We are in a world of online shopping. And yes, in the world of this thing called the World Wide Web, we can actually order and buy things that are not regulated by Health Canada. Do not do that because they're not regulated by Health Canada and they can pose a risk for you, your family, your neighbors, and wildlife around you. So make sure that anything that you're using on your property, on your home garden, on your edible garden is Health Canada approved. If you go to your Home Depot, if you go to Lowe's, if you go to Garden Galleries, if you go to Canadian Tires, if you go to Terra Greenhouses, any of the amazing Sheridan, any of the amazing local independent garden centers and retailers right across this country, including places like Loblaws, Sobeys, all those that sell anything from fertilizers all the way through to insecticides, herbicides, and pesticides, they're all Health Canada approved. So just make sure that you're safe out there. Good morning from Conestoga Lake. We got that too. Let's see that we got another question that's here. Question, Frankie. I go on my balcony, this is from Jen, in containers, and every year I lose my tomatoes to a powdery mildew. I live on a ravine with a creek and it's humid. Is there anything preventative that I can be doing this season? I have black cherry tomatoes too. So when it comes to that powdery mildew, a lot of the times tomatoes suffer from blight. It's either an early blight, late blight, and sometimes they will get a powdery mildew. By removing the suckers in the tomato, what you're doing is the suckers is when you see a tomato and it's growing with two stems. In the center of the stem, you almost see like it appears like a little baby tomato plant that's growing. By pruning those out and selectively removing the bottom branches and removing some branches, you're actually going to increase airflow around that plant and you're going to increase light into that plant, allowing more air circulation, allowing things to dry up and minimizing a disease like powdery mildew and even different blights that are out there. You will also look at different hybridized tomatoes that are available that you'll see VFN. And some of the different hybridized tomatoes that are out there are virus-free, that VF virus-free. So some of those varieties are the ones that you can look for. However, when it comes to tomatoes as well, some of those heirloom varieties, they're flavorful, they're fantastic. Those heirloom varieties are more prone to getting viruses. A reminder when it comes to tomatoes too, there are two different types of tomatoes. There is the determinate tomato, which is a dwarf and or bush tomato, better for pots and smaller spaces. The indeterminate tomato, which is a vine type tomato that can grow 5 to 7 feet in height easily and almost 4 feet to 5 feet in width. That there is that vine type tomato, you need space for it. And that's the whole thing. When you're growing your own food, a reminder out there as well is, you know, in terms of a family of 4, you really only need a couple tomato plants, maybe 3 at most. Zucchini plants, you only need a couple for a family of 4. Often we actually plant too much and we plant all at one time. Say, for instance, lettuce that we plant today as a transplant, within 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be harvesting that lettuce. So if we plant our entire space with lettuce today, in 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to have a lot of salad. And then after we harvest that salad, we won't have anything. That's why I like growing Swiss chard. Swiss chard, you cut it, it grows back. That's why I like growing kale. Kale, you harvest the side leaves, you continue to harvest throughout the summer season, you always have a nice crop. With lettuce, like leaf lettuce, even go and purchase some seeds now that you can sow some crops a little bit later on, so you can constantly have a supply of lettuce that's out there. Tomatoes, of course, they're not going to be able to be harvested until late July, early August, because they have these days to maturity. They take a little bit longer to grow. Never plant tomatoes and potatoes in the same space. If you do, they're both from the deadly nightshade family. You'll actually be attracting the same diseases that are out there. Here we go with another question. Good morning, Frankie from Mulmer. You're breaking up this morning. Let me know, guys, if I'm breaking up. If anybody else out there, if that'd be great. Maybe it's just your internet, but if it is mine, I apologize, and we'll make sure. Good morning from Gananoque. Wow, so much great information, says Terry Baker out there. That's what we try to do on this. We try to give you as much good information as possible. I'm just going to check something here. Boom, we're doing well. Good. Okay. We have another question here from St. Thomas. This question from St. Thomas: when can you cut lilacs to bloom the following year? So when it comes to lilacs, and this is when we go to the flower garden, and lilacs are in flower right now, I really encourage you, if you live close to Royal Botanical Gardens, go check it out. RBG is looking fantastic. This year, their lilac collection's great. Prune after bloom. Lilacs, after they finish their bloom period, you can prune about 1/3 of its overall growth, remove any center deadwood, any small branches in the center to allow some airflow. Very important. It takes a lilac a full season to develop those blooms. So if I was to prune my lilac in the fall, I wouldn't have flowers the following year. So as a general rule of thumb, prune everything after they bloom and you will do well. This is from Miriam. Miriam has a question this morning. My good friend. Miriam, Frankie, how are you? Would you please tell me, can I use Dormant spray kit from last year? As I bought 2 last year and it hasn't opened yet. Yes, please advise. Thank you in advance. As long as that Dormant spray kit wasn't in the garage where it froze, that sometimes can cause some issues with it, but it should be no problem whatsoever. A Dormant spray kit is a mixture of horticultural oil and usually a sulfur. The horticultural oil works as the insecticide. The sulfur that's there works as a fungicide, and it's generally used to kill any overwintering disease and or insects. Dormant spray kits, which are approved by Health Canada, as long as you bought them at the right spot, they are generally used when plants are dormant. So it's a little bit late now to be using that Dormant spray kit. It is too late to use the Dormant spray kit. However, we can use the horticultural oil separately. Horticultural oil with some of the smaller, softer shelled insects that we have can take care of those, because what they can do is they actually will smother them. The horticultural oil smothers them and will eventually eliminate and or diminish the population of soft-shelled insects like aphids. A reminder, if you're looking for information this year on gypsy moths, they've been renamed as spongy moths. And now is probably a pretty good time as a preventative to put a little bit of a burlap. You're going to put like a little bit of a burlap collar around the base of trees, so that when those caterpillars try to walk up that tree, they can't get around that burlap. So this is the time where you're going to put those burlap bands, I call them collars and or bands, around shade trees like oaks and maples and things like that, to prevent some of those bad spongy moths, used to be called gypsy moths, from getting up there on those trees. Good morning from Tobermory this morning. Good morning to you as well. What do we got here? We got another good morning from King City this morning. Good morning. We got a good morning from Lori from Manitoulin Island. Good morning as well. Frankie from Marlborough, you're breaking up this morning. So that was the same one. I'm hoping that I'm not breaking up because I know that there is some storm activity in the area. But generally my Rogers Ignite is usually pretty good overall. I bought some Rio Diplodenia, great plant. Should I put a trellis in the pot when I plant them? If so, how tall? Rio Diplodenias are not the vine. You're looking more for mandevilla. If you're looking for more of a climbing tropical plant with blooms, you're looking for mandevilla. The Rio Diplodenias are more like a bush that will grow up and just down, but they're not going to get that vine type. So the Rios are going to be a vine type for you. Good morning from Gananoque this morning, as we've been saying. We got another good morning this morning. No breaking up issues here too. Okay, thanks, Mary. I like that everybody's helping me out. You are breaking up, says Jen. Breaking up, breaking up. No, it's breaking up. Yes, it's breaking up a bit. Good morning from Everett. Frank from Glenn. Yes, you are breaking up here too. Okay, breaking up here as well. Oh, wow. Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to exit out of this, and then I'm going to hop back on. And then with that, we'll see if there's another breaking up issue. So here we go, guys. I'm going to exit out of this restart.